I keep telling you guys to never sell real estate, but I'm selling this house at 2720 North Sterling Avenue. Today we're gonna tell you where the deal came from, why I'm selling it, and what is going on. I bought it subject to. If you guys remember, one of the first YouTube videos I ever put on the channel was the history of this house. You guys can see the construction walkthrough. I bought this property with no money out of my pocket, no bank loan, no credit check, no W-2, no tax returns, no bank statements. I don't even know how much money I had in my bank account the day I closed, but I bought it with nothing. Zero, zilch, nothing. So let me tell you how I bought it and where the lead came from and remind you guys of the history, and we'll tell you guys how much money I've made on this property, why we're selling it, and what we're doing with the money. So again, the address, you guys can pull this up, is 2720 North Sterling Avenue. This property in 2019 was listed with an agent. The agent could not sell this house on the market because the house had no equity, okay? Now, a lot of people will ask me the question of why do you buy houses with no equity? We'll talk about that in another video. So the agent had the house for sale at $410,000. The problem is the owner of the property, Dave, he owed $370,000. So really close. I think it was $372,788 is what he owed, I believe. And so when you pay your agent commission, okay, pay your 3% to your agent, 3% to another agent, and another 5 to 7% in closing costs and appraisals, inspections, all those sorts of things. What happens is he was gonna pay about $45,000 in costs to sell the property, which means he would have had to have written a check to sell this house. So Dave, the seller of the property, hears about me through his real estate agent. I talk to the agent and I say, hey, I can just take over the payments. And the agent's like, well, what about my 3% commission? And I said, well, sadly, you're almost at the end of your listing next week. I would just pay you $2,500. And so the agent let me pay them $2,500 on the deal, and we paid $5,000 for this closing costs. Now, you might be asking, well, Pace, you always talk about how you didn't have any money in the deal. You renovated the property, you made payments on the property while you were renovating, you had $5,000 in closing costs, $2,500 to the real estate agent. You're right, I had a private money lender, okay? So I had a girl named Sonia, and Sonia, I believe she gave me $40,000, okay? Now here's what Sonia did. Sonia gave me $40,000 in 2019. That covered the that covered the $2,500. The seller, Dave, received $0. He just let me take over his 3% interest rate subject to. You might say, well, what is subject to? I'll give you a link to a video somewhere on the screen that will be what is subject to and a breakdown of a full subject to deal so you understand. Sonia gives me $40,000 at 10% interest, and she gave me 3 years to pay her back. So what was cool about this $40,000 is that it got me into the deal. It helped pay for the renovation. It helped get everything up and going, and it covered all of my costs associated with the house. So I didn't give the seller any money. I didn't have a down payment. I didn't have a bank loan. I didn't have to do a credit check. I didn't have to do any of these things. And I was able to take over the house's payments at $372,788. Now my editor will pop up exactly the purchase price on the screen so you can see I actually just paid $372,788 and I took over the payments. That's it. My purchase price was taking over the payments. The situation with the private money lender, again, her name was Sonia. And Sonia gave me $40,000 to cover those costs. Now what was great about this property is for a couple of years, this property cash flowed $3,000 per month net on Airbnb. Okay, it did really well on Airbnb. Even though it's in an HOA, I was able to kind of skirt through and nobody really bothered me because I think it was because it was during COVID, nobody bothered me and nobody really cared. A lot of people were now working from home and they saw people coming and going and I just kind of, went under the radar. And what was cool is out of the $3,000 I was making per month on this property, I didn't take any of that money home. I was paying down Sonia. Okay, man, maybe I'll even give you, here's what I'll give you. I'll give you a gift. You guys want a gift? I will give you a list of private money lenders just like Sonia down below, okay? Go down below in the description and I'll give you guys a list of real people just like Sonia that do deals just like this. I'll give you a whole entire list, okay? So Sonia, I was paying her $400 a month towards her interest, but I was also paying her $3,000 a month every single month. I paid her off, I believe, within 16 months of borrowing the money. So I paid her off early. I had a 3-year term, but I paid her off very, very early. Why? Because I wanted to pay my private money lender off and then start taking the cash flow myself. So I did not pay her back. My tenants and my Airbnb paid her back. Okay, so this Airbnb did really well. Paid her off within 16 months. Now I have no private money lender. I have no $400 payment, and Sonia is now gone from this transaction. By this time, we're almost to 2021. Now in 2021 to 2024, I've made about $150,000 in net cash flow on this property. That's after utilities, management, that's after, I don't know why our team has bought so many rugs, but maybe this is like, well, I don't know. I don't manage my Airbnb, I have a team that does that. We've got nice expensive love sacks and all these things in here. After all the expenses that we have incurred, we walked away with $150,000 net on this property, okay? So cash flow. We made $150,000 net. Great. Now, appreciation. Let's look at this. They'll get frustrated when I tell you this, but I bought the property right before the pandemic, and the property went up in value. It went from $372,000 to $685,000. We are currently under contract right now, which is why I'm making this video today. We are under contract right now for $685,000. So after all of my expenses, I will walk away probably with about $270,000 in growth after all my all my closing costs and paying my agent and all of that stuff. Obviously, we're self-listing it to save the money, but I still have some cost here. Okay, so it'll still cost us a little bit of money. Okay, cool. So I made $150 net, $270 in appreciation. My tax benefits on this property alone made this property valuable for me. The tax benefits on this property totaled about $75,000, which I love. Then the next thing that I love about this property is that I had my tenants, my Airbnb tenants, my midterm rental tenants. About 2023, we had to pivot this to midterm. And the reason being is because my HOA here started waking up to the fact that I was running an Airbnb here. Now, nobody cared at the time, but you do get some Karens that move in and there's some shuffling around in the neighborhood, and then people go, is that house an Airbnb? And check this out. This is the worst part about this house. The main thoroughfare is right here. Literally, people drive right up to this house, and then if you're driving home from work and your name is Karen, and you see that there's a different car in the driveway almost every day, what does that tell you? That tells you that there's an Airbnb going on here. And so we had a lady that moved in right around the corner that would turn by our house every day and would take note of all the cars that were in the driveway. Welcome to Airbnb. That's why I don't love Airbnb and why we decided, you know what? It's time to just get out of here. Why? Because now, even though I converted over to midterm, that same lady and another lady around the corner got it so that the HOA put a 6-month requirement on all my rentals. And so that means I have to only accept 6-month rentals on a midterm rental. Cool. Well, this property cost me $1,900 per month. Great, that's the Subto loan that I took over. The Subto loan I took over is about $1,900 a month. If I go and rent this out right now on the regular rental market, I could probably rent it out for about $3,100. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, so I've got about $1,200 spread here, but after management and expenses and all that kind of stuff, I'm gonna net probably around $400 to $600 per month. But the problem is, I've got all this money trapped in here, right? I've got $270,000 in equity. The mortgage has also been paid down about $50,000. So I've got $270,000 plus $50,000 trapped in this house. That's $320,000 in trapped equity on this property that I realize it's just time to harvest that money and roll it into a different deal. I now have so many different opportunities that I could just go and put this into my fund, for example. Okay, my fund, oh, this is great. Let's say I keep my 320 here. We call this return on equity. Okay, so what is my return on equity right now? Let's figure that out. And this is why I'm selling. I've got $320,000 in equity. That's after I sell the house. That's money in my pocket. And if I'm only making $400 a month times 12, that's $4,800 a year for $320,000. That's not good. That's like maybe 2%. I don't like that. Let's look at this. Let's do the math on that. Let's go $4,800 divided by 320,000 bucks. That's 1.5% return. This is a really, really poor return on equity. And so right now we are doing what we call harvesting. Okay, I'm going to harvest this equity out of this house. We bought it with no money, zero money, sat on it for 5 years, and now I'm pulling out 150, got tax benefits of 75 plus my 320. Think about the actual return I had on this property. I'm $0 out of pocket on this house, $0, $0. The property made me 150 in cash flow, 50,000 in pay down, 75,000 in tax benefits, and 320. So my total return on this property, $595,000 roughly of a return on this property for $0. Not only is that an infinite return, man, it's amazing. And so part of you goes, okay, well, it's been really, really good. Why not just sit on it? Because you have a 3% rate on this. The rate you took over 5 years ago was 3%. Pace, you have a 3% rate on this that didn't use any of your credit. Why would you sell this now? Why would you get rid of this? Because of this. My return on equity is right now 1.5%. I could put my money in a couple of different places, and that's what I want to talk about right now. Single family is not the best investment, okay? Why? Because if I'm investing, that means I'm putting money into it. If you're gonna do single family with seller finance and subject to, you have no money into the deal. So yes, single family is an amazing investment because you're not putting money into it. So what I see people do, especially people that are doing the BRRRR strategy, what's happening is they go do the BRRRR strategy and they tie up tons of cash. Okay, everybody I talk to is like, yeah, you're right. I was told I could buy something, renovate it, rent it out, refinance and repeat. But the reality is that last R actually doesn't apply. Most people are keeping all their cash tied up into a deal. So if you're doing the BRRRR strategy in single family, I would say that single family is a really, really poor investment for you. Why not put your money into a multifamily fund, right? You've got really cool people like, you could do invest at subtofund.com and invest in my fund. We buy apartment complexes on seller finance. You could go to people like Brandon Turner and invest in his fund. You go to Ken McElroy, who's one of my freaking favorite YouTubers of all time. Go to Ken McElroy and his investments. You could go to Grant Cardone if you wanted to. These are better investments for you than going and doing single family properties with the BRRRR strategy, okay? That's a better way for you to go. But if you're saying, hey, look, I wanna get started with no money. I wanna go buy properties, single family, then do what I do. Learn how to do subject to, learn how to do seller finance. You can get into these properties like this with no cash out of your pocket, no credit check. What's cool about single family is if you are buying single family with creative finance, now you are growing cash. And now you have real cash, and now you have a real problem. Okay, when I bought this house, I didn't have a problem. I had no money in it. I have no risk associated with this. I have zero risk on this house because I have no money into it. So when the property now produces a $320,000 of trapped equity, you have to now ask the question of, what is my equity doing for me now? Because this is real cash that's tied up in this house, okay? This cash, if it made me $4,800 a year, this cash is not giving me a great return. And I have to look at the future appreciation of this property and say, man, is this going to continue to appreciate the way it did? Or is there maybe a better place for me to put this money, okay? So where I'm actually putting my money is I'm putting my money over at invest at subtofund.com. Okay, why? Because this is my fund, I own it with my partner Josiah, and we bring in accredited investors and we go and buy bigger apartment complexes like 160 units down in Tucson. We'll give you guys a little bit of B-roll, show you guys what that looks like. My cash should be tied up in larger assets, okay, in a fund that I can go buy bigger assets and have greater returns. And what I will then do is I have one other type of asset, right? Your cash is an asset, okay? My cash is an asset in this deal. I have another type of asset. What's another type of asset? Time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna continue to pour my time into single family properties and buy the single family properties for no money, no credit, no banks, and I have no risk. What I'll do is I'll continue to buy these just using my time and my technique of subject to, my technique of seller finance, the Morby method, lease options, executory contracts, all of those types of things. And I'll create more of this from this. And as the 320 gets harvested, I've got like 6 other properties we're harvesting right now, totaling a couple $1 million. I'm just putting all my money here. Why? Because now I'm consolidating my assets, I'm rolling them into something larger and letting it expand and grow while I go behind it and grow more assets with no money. And so this is the strategy that I'm following is buy, harvest, roll into larger assets, roll into deals that I don't have to manage as much. The whole team over here, my partner runs this whole entire thing. I don't have to go out and deal with any of that kind of stuff. So I could go use this to buy more single family properties, but that's the laziest thing you could ever do is use cash to buy single family properties. Why would I do that? I would do that because I don't know how to go and do this. So if you guys want to learn how to do this, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to go to nolbchallenge.com. And what I will do is if you guys are a part of my community, I will pair you up on either my team or some other leader in my community's team, and we will help you get your first deal. What we'll do is we'll actually put you on the team, help you learn some of the skills and put you right into action. Instead of watching more videos, instead of watching and reading more books and going to seminars, we'll actually just put you right into a challenge on a monthly basis to make sure that you're paired up with people that know what they're doing, people like me, people that have been trained by me, so that you can go and buy these types of assets, wait on these, and as they grow in value, make the decision to harvest and roll into bigger deals. Now, you don't have to invest with me, obviously, but you should be able to invest in other people's bigger projects or maybe even start a fund of your own at some point in the future. So the reason why I'm selling the asset is because my return on equity is very, very low. Okay, and now that the equity has grown substantially, I'm harvesting the property, pulling the equity out, rolling it into something bigger. Now, could I do a cash out refinance? Yes, I could do a cash out refinance, but here's the problem. Will I be able to pull out all this cash with a cash out refinance? No, I won't. So I'll still have cash tied up in the property. And more importantly, my rate will go from 3% to 7%. And so my cash flow will be nothing like it is today. And so for me, I don't like going after 7% rates like you guys in the Burr world do. I'd rather stick around the 2 to 3, 4% interest rate. A couple of things we're gonna give you here today. Make sure you guys sign up for the next No One Left Behind challenge. If you guys are interested in investing in my fund and becoming a partner with me, go to invest@subtofund.com. If you're appreciating the content that we're giving to you guys today and the fact that we don't hyper edit you and make you feel like you're being chopped up all the time, please give us a subscribe, give us some love, and make a comment down below. We'll see you in the next video.